That was top jockey Warren Marston on a horse called Miss Optimist. They're on their way to trainer David Nicholson's stables here near Cheltenham in Gloucestershire, where I hope to round up the man whose story we're going to tell tonight. He's part owner of Miss Optimist. The other parts are owned by some of the regulars at the Plough, their local pub. His co-owners include a shopkeeper, a bookie, and an electrician. Like himself, all lovers of sport and the country life. His own game is acting. He's been at it with great success for 46 years. And here's a moment from one of his first screen hits. He understands that the filming that's been done today is for a documentary about racing stables. And Miss Optimist is the centre of a party celebrating her successes. She's being followed home today by me and this, and I'm going to find a very quiet horse to do my riding on. Excuse me. What a lovely party. I've galloped over hill and dale to be here and gate-crash this party to say today, actor, lover of the turf and man of all seasons, Nigel Davenport. This is your...
Oh, dear, oh, dear, oh, dear. Well, what a surprise.
Oh, what a relief.
I didn't know you liked horse racing.
Well, I'm not sure that I do anymore.
Oh, you will, if you stay here long enough.
I'm afraid we can't. We've got to get you back in a horseless carriage and get you back to London.
What, now?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. Nigel, I didn't ask which part of the horse you actually own.
It's very hard to tell, but I would call it half an oof.
As long as he gets there first, that's all that counts.
Absolutely.
Thanks, by the way, to jockey Warren Marston and to everyone who helped us over there. The Plough is going to be empty tonight because the regulars and your fellow owners of Miss Optimist are, I think, all here. Also here, your brother Peter, your nephews Michael and Anthony, and their children and colleagues from stage and screen. Now, in your 40 years on television, many of your dramas have reflected your love for the great outdoors.
You, sir, you seem to have some decent instincts, so I'll give you a word of advice. Mend your ways, or you'll wind up on the gallows.
Hey, where did you learn to mimic like that?
I'm going to the races tomorrow. Would you care to accompany me?
Tomorrow I can't, but I'm too busy.
Busy? Well, life isn't all business. Enjoy it.
Yes, I'd love to.
Say thank you, Hugo.
Sorry?
I've just saved you from a thumping, old son.
What are you talking about, Jen?
That trick you pulled on Tom Fisher's horse. Mike wanted to pull your ears off, till I persuaded him not to.
Now, there is someone who remembers that while you were making the film Mountbatten in India 10 years ago, your greatest moment of drama was actually off-screen.
Yes, Pops. We were staring death in the face. Many faces.
With the gory details, your actress daughter Laura, accompanied by her husband Johnny, and your grandchildren George and Mary.
Hello, sweetheart.
Laura, we're talking about real-life drama here.
Yes, we are. My father was working, I was resting, and so he took me with him to India. And on a day off, we went to visit a very ancient and ruined temple. Very beautiful. Do you remember it?
Very beautiful.
And as we came round this corner, we were suddenly confronted by about 80, would you say?
Yes.
Monkeys. And the big daddy monkey, who was central in the thing, stood up on his hind legs, bared fangs which were about that long and sort of that shaped, whereupon my father, who is renowned for quite a large voice, made a huge noise that came from, I'm not quite sure, somewhere about here, was it? And that daddy monkey was extremely frightened, wasn't he? And he and his troops ran off at high speed, and you and I collapsed backwards in relief.
But I was proud of the fact that you stayed with me.
Well, I had to.
And also shouted.
Yeah, that's the bit.
And she's got a loud voice as well.
So your dad the hero?
My dad the hero.
I think that deserves a round of applause. Well done. Now, throughout your career, you've earned enthusiastic reviews, and now we're going to hear from a respected film critic who just happens to be your son, Hugo Davenport.
Now, this isn't going to be a trip down memory lane for you. It's more down memory alleyway, because here we are at Newman's Passage, which was made a very famous scene in the 1960 film, Peeping Tom. Terrible murder was committed here. I'm glad to say that you weren't playing the killer. You were playing a detective who was on the killer's trail.
What was it you saw?
Well, surely, Chief, a man coming at her with a sharp weapon.
I'm familiar with that kind of terror. This is something new to me.
You played all sorts, in fact. You played cops, you played robbers, you played soldiers, even a touch of royalty. I think the moment that impressed me most, though, was when you were in Living Free and you had to cradle a lion's head on your lap. The lion may have been a little bit sleepy and a little bit old, but I could see that it still had teeth. And in the meantime, I have another 2 surprises, and I'm sure you'll be pleased to see them both.
Hi, Nigel. Hope you're having a lovely time, and we'll see you soon. Lots of love.
And with Hugo, his wife Sarah, and your grandson Bram. Hugo isn't the only one to be inspired by his father. Your youngest son is also an actor and, in the true family tradition, is working tonight in Catherine Cookson's The Moth. From location, he talks to you now, Jack Davenport.
As you know, I'm up in Newcastle at the moment, so I won't be able to be there. I know you won't mind too much, because at least it means I'm working. I hope you have a wonderful evening. Lots of love, and I'll see you soon. Bye.
Thank you, Jack. Nigel, let me take you back more than 20 years to when you were in the Yorkshire Dales making the television drama South Riding.
South Riding? You called it Skid Row.
She's rushed here from her latest performance to tell us the story. Welcome to Dorothy Tutin. Skid Row, was this a low point in your career?
No, it wasn't. It was absolutely a high point, in fact, because I loved the book and it was absolutely wonderful working with Nigel. One scene we did together, do you remember, that we were very nervous about because we had to assist, in fact, we had to deliver a calf. Do you remember? You said, all we need, actually, instead of a cow and a calf and all that it entails, which is pretty panicky, is a post and 2 bits of rope, and we can pull properly. And we did. That's what we did. We pulled and pulled with great abandon, and you gave birth to this calf. No, you didn't. You delivered this calf. Absolutely brilliantly. You brought the scene to life.
Dorothy, thank you very much. Well, Arthur Nigel Davenport, or Thesp, as you're known at the Plough, this is your life, and an extraordinary life it's been. You were born on the 23rd of May, 1928, in the Cambridgeshire town of Great Shelford, the son of Major Arthur and Lucy Davenport. Your father was bursar of Cambridge College. There you are, age 2, with your mother. There was artistic blood in the veins. Your mother was an accomplished actress. Your maternal grandfather was a violinist. Well, you go to St. Peter's School in Seaford. There you are, I think, during the holidays. And there you go.
Oh, God.
And then you go to Cheltenham College. There is the budding thespian, aged 17. In 1946, at the age of 18, you find your country needs you. You're called up for national service, and you spend 2 years as a private in the Royal Army Corps of Signals. Now, your father was a major. You didn't try to become an officer.
No, because I discovered quite early on that if you managed to get a commission, it meant that you had to spend 3 years in the army as opposed to 2 in the ranks, so I stayed in the ranks.
You're posted to Dortmund in Germany as part of the post-war occupying forces, and to entertain the British troops in their off-duty hours, it was decided to set up a forces broadcasting service. You replied to an advertisement and auditioned in Hamburg for the role of station announcer.
An announcer? He became a star of the airwaves.
He was there, ex-Sergeant BFBS Trevor Hill. So Private Davenport was a star?
Yes. Well, he was a star announcer to begin with. I was told by the CO, look, we must do some drama. We can't afford copyright fees and things like that. So will you and Sergeant Potter, our only lady in the unit, woman in the unit, sit down and write something? So Margaret and I sat down and we wrote The Adventures of Robin Hood. Yeah. And then I started to audition, and I looked at young Davenport, all of 19. I thought, a rather spotty young man, but he sounds marvellous. And one of the nicest parts of doing this was the fact that we had an absolutely super Robin. And I'd also like to thank you, Nigel, also for giving me a most talented godson in your son, Hugo Davenport.
Thank you, Trevor. Inspired by your performance in Robin Hood, when you leave the army, you're determined to become an actor. Your father wants you to go to university, and you go to Trinity College, Oxford, to study English. Naturally, you join the University Dramatic Society, and in 1950, you win the part of Bottom in A Midsummer Night's Dream. There you are, centre stage. It was an outdoor production, and you rehearse your Bottom in freezing weather.
What with the snow, and you not wearing your glasses, Nigel, we didn't know where we were.
He played Snout in that Oxford production. You hadn't seen him for 46 years. Donald Cullimore, and with him, members of that cast, Charles Hodgson, Peter Croft, William Millingship, and John Stitt. Donald, Snout meets Bottom again.
Yes.
Tell us what happened.
Well, if you can believe that this lot played Shakespeare, there we were, as you said, in an open-air production, and we started rehearsal in the open air in April in a snowstorm. Anyway, it did work all right, and you played Bottom, we all thought, as a kind of Cockney wide boy, so the rest of us had to have Cockney accents as well. The audiences loved you, and they obviously liked our Cockney accents too, because we played, I think, for every night for 2 weeks in the open, without any more snow, to absolutely full houses, and it's all down to you.
Thank you, Donald Cullimore. And the past of 1950. Well, Nigel, still at Oxford, you bombard rep companies and agents with letters, trying desperately to break into the professional theatre. You also get married to fellow graduate Helena White, and soon are the father of 2 children, Hugo and Laura. In 1972, you marry again, this time to actress Maria Aitken, and in 1973, your youngest son, Jack, is born. Back in 1953, you joined the Shakespeare Memorial Theatre for a season, and then the following year, you travelled north to the Derbyshire town of Chesterfield, where you auditioned for the local Civic Theatre Company. The producer, who later went on to cast you in Howard's Way, and trainer, was Gerald Glaister. Gerry, what did you think of him?
I decided to cast him for Hobson's Choice, and he was going to play the apprentice cobbler in that, which of course was the lead. So he was playing a northern character in front of a northern audience, and he was completely convincing.
Thank you. Well, in 1956, you're accepted by the English Stage Company for its first season of the Royal Court Theatre, and in 1959, you make the first of many films, Look Back in Anger. That same year, you're in A Taste of Honey, and like Look Back in Anger, it caused a sensation, but the leading lady still recalls it for other reasons.
On the opening night, it really was a taste of honey,
and hot lemon and throat pastels dotted all over the stage.
Former Royal Shakespeare Company actress Frances Cuka. Frances, you're obviously well now. Were you all under the weather at the time?
Well, in the play, my mother, his inamorata, has flu and passes it on to me, and it was a very realistic play, wasn't it? So we all got it. And we were all terribly worried that the audience might be knocked out by the fumes from the menthol pastels that were actually coming over from the stage. And, in fact, we were quite a knockout, really, weren't we?
Did all right.
Did all right, yeah. We did it for a year at Wyndham's, and then we went to the Criterion. And then it went to Broadway. There was Nigel, the only one of the original London cast. And it was just so lovely, Nigel, that you were there, because there was a friend and there was somebody who was on stage and off stage who was just wonderful and just like a rock. Thank you.
Thank you. Back in England in 1959, you're cast in a television production of Great Expectations.
How do you do? Here you've just come up from the country.
This is down the country. We've a big place in Somerset. My father's a baronet, you know. Catch me living there. What's your place like?
My place, sir?
Uh-huh. You're the young squire and all that, I suppose.
Well, no, sir. I comes from the forge.
Forge? You've got two hammers rampants and an anvil cushion to your coat of arms.
Now, look here, Drummle.
The young actor who played Pitt there has become a lifelong friend.
Although it didn't seem likely at the time.
It's Dinsdale Landen. Dinsdale, this is not a very good start by the sound of it.
I went up with a young, keen actor and went up and said, "Oh, excuse me, I'm Dinsdale Landen and I'm playing Pitt." And Nigel said, "Really?" and walked away. Extraordinary enough, we've been friends ever since.
Thank you. By the mid-1960s, you were in great demand as a screen actor. In 1965, you have a tremendous success with High Wind in Jamaica, and the following year as the Duke of Norfolk in A Man for All Seasons.
Oh, confound all this. I'm not a scholar. I don't know whether the marriage was lawful or not, but damn it, Thomas, look at these names. Why can't you do as I did and come with us for fellowship?
You also appeared in Life at the Top, The Virgin Soldiers and Royal Hunt of the Sun. In 1979, you fly off to the African bush to make a film starring Burt Lancaster and called Zulu Dawn.
And that's when Nigel introduced the anorak to Africa.
The sartorial story from your close friend, Michael Jayston. Michael, an anorak, not a lot of train spotting in the bush?
No, it was more like Nigel spotting. If you remember on that film, we were all playing British officers, and we all wore blue, and you, for some unknown reason, had got the wardrobe to kit you out with what I can only describe as a sort of woolen anorak, and it was a great heavy thing. And I think it was Peter O'Toole who said that from the air, from an aerial point of view, you must have looked like a large sheep. We were all worried that you were going to be eaten by either a vulture, an eagle, or a buzzard. I mean, every time you came on set every morning, we say, "Here's eagle bait again." I'm glad the eagle didn't get you, because the world would have been deprived of your eccentricity, your wicked, devilish sense of humour. You're a credit to the profession, and it's a pleasure to know you.
Thank you. In 1981, you appear in the celebrated Chariots of Fire, and 3 years later, another blockbuster, Greystoke, The Legend of Tarzan. But there is another side to your actor's life. In 1986, you're elected president of the Actors' Union Equity, and remain so for 6 years. By then, you're appearing in what had become one of your most popular television series, Howard's Way. You play Tycoon Sir Edward Freer. Your son in that series, Tony Anholt. Tony, there was no love lost on the screen, was there?
Not a lot. I spent three to 4 years, I think it was, enduring your deviousness, your scheming manipulation, your vicious, cold-hearted unpleasantness. But, of course, all that was on camera. Off camera, you were devious, cold-hearted. You're a trooper, because we went on tour of a two-hander play called Sleuth after that, and we wouldn't have done that unless we worked well together. So bless you. Take care.
Thank you, Tony. Another leading player from Howard's Way recalls a particular scene. Tonight he's on Broadway, reminiscing from there, Dulcie Gray.
Do you remember the time we were doing a scene where you were talking about Jan and I was talking about a horse? And, of course, we were talking at cross purposes. The whole point was that the horse should be a filly, because, of course, Jan is a lady, and it should have been a lady horse. What they actually produced for us to talk to was a perfectly enormous stallion, which was, as they call it, very fully furnished. Well, that didn't do at all. So they had to go off and find a filly. Well, the next trouble was that the filly had to match in colour the winner of one of the races at Goodwood next day, and she didn't. The cameraman was up to it. When the winner had passed, he then, as the horses were coming in twos and threes in sort of clumps, he just photographed the winner of one of the clumps. So all was well. See you soon. God bless you.
Thank you, Dulcie. And the story goes on. In 1991, you get a call from Gerry Glaister and end up on horseback yet again with another tale of the turf, Trainer.
We played mortal enemies, and that took real acting. Hello, Rovey.
The unscrupulous Hugo Latimer, alias Patrick Ryecart. I didn't get the last bit.
No, it's Rovey, it's hero. It's what us lovies say when we're in China.
We've been in China together.
We did a little scene in Shanghai recently. It was 5 o'clock in the morning at the Peace Hotel. Yeah.
Yes.
I did all the dialogue. Finally, the director, we thought we were going home. Nigel was standing behind me in a bowler hat. He just said nothing all night. And the director finally said, and now we go on Mr. Davenport. I had to do the whole lot all over again. They shot it on him. You'll be glad to know I rang Peter Patzak yesterday in Germany. I said, how did that scene cut together, Peter? He said, it's all on Mr. Davenport.
You had that bowler hat. Well, thank you. Now, appearing with Patrick in Trainer probably influenced your decision to join your pals from the Plough as part owner of a racehorse of your own, ridden by Warren Marston here. Warren, is he a good owner?
Win, lose or draw, we're often back at Andrews at the Plough, and I can assure you he's one of the first to arrive and definitely one of the last to leave.
And of all the happy days and long nights spent with your horse racing friends in Gloucestershire, none could have been happier than the April day when Miss Optimist was entered in the EBF Novices Hurdle in Cheltenham.
Up towards the line, Miss Optimist is going to take it. Up the coast, Miss Optimist, it is.
I'm bound to say that the day that race was run, I was doing a matinee and an evening performance at Guildford, and I didn't even know she was running, and she won at 9-1.
And that play was appropriately called That Good Night. Yes. And you were working in it with a close friend, Donald Sinden.
Dear Nigel, it's such a sadness I can't be with you this evening. You've played such an important part in my life. It was 1952, wasn't it, when you and Diana were appearing in Relative Values at the Savoy Theatre. We were all penniless young actors. I'd done 3 screen tests for The Cruel Sea, failed to get it. Then I was called back for 2 more. And one day, you and your wife invited us round to lunch. And in the middle of lunch, the telephone rang, and it was for me. I'd got The Cruel Sea. You immediately, dear fellow, went out and got a bottle of champagne, and we celebrated. And, of course, only just recently, this last year, we've had the great pleasure of working together again in That Good Night. Well, I only hope this is a jolly good night for you. Well done, Nigel. Jolly good.
Thank you, Donald Sinden. For our finale, we take you back to the very beginning of your career. You were with the British Forces Broadcasting Service in Hamburg. Trevor Hill told us about that early radio drama, Robin Hood. We've unearthed a tape recording that should bring back some happy memories.
In part 4 of The Adventures of Robin Hood by Margaret Potter and Trevor Hill, you heard Nigel Davenport as Robin, Raymond Baxter as Guy de Gisborne, and Cliff Mitchellmore as Little John.
And here, nearly 50 years on, your old radio comrades, commentator Raymond Baxter and family favourite Cliff Mitchellmore. This is a turn up for the book, I would say.
Well, I guess you could say that. Yes, indeed. I was production manager at BFN, and you came for an interview, and I was very impressed by this bright, young 18-year-old. Look at him. And so we gave you a microphone test, and you obviously had a beautiful broadcasting voice. So we gave you the job, and you proved extraordinarily versatile, and, of course, went on from strength to strength. So I reckon for once I picked a winner, and I've watched your running ever since.
And Cliff.
Versatility was the answer, wasn't it, at BFM? Because everybody had to do everything. You had to write scripts, you had to read the news, you had to read poems in his Poet's Corner. You had to introduce symphony concerts. You were even a DJ on one occasion, which I remember. And you acted. Now, Nigel, I don't know which was worse. My acting or your DJing. But I think my acting was worse than your DJing. But in those days, you really were a pillar of strength for us. You were a very good opening bat for the cricket team, apart from anything else. But you always had that wonderful voice, even 50-odd years ago. And you had that marvellous talent, which we've heard tonight, has really grown and grown, and you've become a very, very fine actor.
Nigel Davenport, this is your life.